Well, it's 2023 and I am back for another year of content. I thought I would just make a quick summary video talking a bit of rubbish about what my goals are this year and what you can expect content-wise. I did make one of these videos at the start of last year, and after going back and watching it the other week, it was funny. A lot of things changed, and some of the goals that we set out were achieved and some of the goals that we set out weren't even touched. I certainly think I overestimated what I would actually get done in a year, and then I underestimated how much time would be chewed up doing other things like this shed, and I've got a few things going on around the house, and work has been pretty busy. So that's just how it goes in the real world. But that's no stress, because them goals, we'll just roll them over to this year and hopefully we can touch on them this year. So before we get into the plans for this year, there's a couple things. I'm gonna change the upload time to Wednesday, maybe like 5 o'clock. I'm just gonna see how that goes. I've always uploaded like Thursday at 6:30. That's all I've been doing for the last couple of years. Moving forward, yeah, I'm gonna be aiming to upload earlier and on the Wednesday. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing I've been thinking about is I've got to update the intro. I'll probably make it a bit shorter and try and make it a little bit more professional looking. So I'll see how that goes. And that leads into the next thing. I was thinking of actually like naming the channel, I guess you'd call it. I'm certainly no professional, but I think from a marketing viewpoint, marketing like a brand name or some sort of name rather than just my own name would somewhat be beneficial, I think, anyway. So let me know what you think on that. I know I've got the Kistler Racing sort of stuff, but if I don't really race this year, or I don't know what my future of racing looks like, I can't really flog the Kistler Racing stuff off when I'm technically not racing. Instead of having my name on it, I could create some sort of logo, and yeah, it would just maybe look a bit more professional. I don't know, that's just what I'm thinking. So I do have a name in mind. It's pretty basic and it's pretty simple, and I'm sure there's a lot of other Instagrams or whatever that have a similar name, but I'm just thinking DK Off-Road, obviously Daniel Kistler Off-Road, but I am open for suggestions. So I don't know, throw in the comments if you think of any names. I don't know, a bit weird, but throw it in the comments. I'll have a read through. I don't know, if you suggest a name and I end up using it and you're the first one to suggest it, I'll send out some stubby holders, some stickers or whatever, make it a bit of fun. So I'll be reading the comments. But yeah, in my head, moving forward with the channel, I think it will be a better move to have like a brand name on it rather than my own name. So let me know your thoughts. So if you did watch the last video of the year that I put up, I did sort of have some information in there about the race car and what the future of that looks like. And I sort of hinted towards potentially building another chassis, like using the same cab, another chassis, and building more of like a car that I can use in the bush rather than like a specific race car. Now, there were a fair few comments and messages and whatever. You all thought that was a good idea, and I agree. I think it's a good idea because there's a lot of content that I could make in regards to like suspension setup, coilovers, sway bars. I've got driveline modifications I want to do. There's all sorts of stuff that I want to do, but I'm still not sure what that car is going to look like. So realistically, I don't know if I will race anymore. Like, as fun as racing is, like the weekends of racing are like so much fun, but it's the cost and the time that has to be invested in fixing the car and getting it ready, because at the end of the day, I don't want to go racing to come 20th place. So I like to invest time, and obviously money comes with that, to make sure the car is up to scratch, to give me the best chance possible that I can do as well as possible. Because I personally think if you're going through that much effort to race, to build the car, to do everything right, to trailer your car there, to spend all these nights, whatever, I just enjoy doing well at something like that. So that is why, yeah, I don't know what the future of racing will look like for me. It could happen again, it might not, I don't know. But I did have a lot of other plans, for this car, for the new car, for the Skyline, that I wanted to get done last year. But I wouldn't say, wholly dedicated, but the last 6 months of last year, pretty much all my spare time went into, you know, whether it was prepping the race car or fixing it or racing on the weekends, you know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And then there's like the editing of the videos, which takes a lot longer because I've usually got 3 or 4 cameras. And I personally enjoy the racing content. Like, I make them racing videos like a video I would watch, and I actually re-watch them, and I just like the way they're set out, and yeah, I really like watching them. But towards the end of the year, for whatever reason, like the racing content fizzled out with views. Like, the views are really lacking towards the end of the year. I don't know, it's weird. The last probably 3 months of 2022, I got less views on YouTube than I did like ever before, with like half or quarter amount of subscribers. And I think that's due to, like, it was just like, you know, 2 or 3 racing videos, then 2 or 3 shed videos fixing the race car, then 2 or 3 racing, you know, it was just this repetitive cycle. And when I was fixing the car, it was like maintenance over and over again. You know, pull the rear axles out, pull the center out, service it, you know, check the bushes. It's like the same content over and over again. So there's a few reasons there that I've stated that makes me unsure of what I'm going to do with racing in the future. The car as it sits now is pretty sad, but like Wild Dog, Bindaree, like the one with spectators, that's only like 25 minutes from here. So if I was to race one, I would race that one, or I might go and help with recoveries or, you know, whatever. So I'm still going to be around in the sport. I still want to go to the events. I might go there and just film like an event video. I don't know what that looks like, but anyway, they're just a few thoughts I've got floating around. Which lead back to the whole car build. Like, you know, is it worth building a specific race car when I'm not sure if I'm going to race? The answer is no. So that's why moving forward, yeah, I was, you know, if I did go through with building another car with that cab, I would build it somewhat more usable, like with a tray on it and a bit less out there, because let's be honest, it's only getting harder and harder to keep these things on the road. So, you know, it's got to be somewhat presentable, you know, even though I don't drive it on the road, but even in the bush, it's still got to be somewhat presentable. And I think regardless, I would like to build a ute. I've always wanted to build a ute, like a touring or hardcore ute. And yeah, whether that's finding another ute cab and chassis and putting all my running gear into it, like the motor and everything, and then just selling my race car off or getting rid of it or whatever. Or whether that's, yeah, re-chassising my current car and using the cab. But if I go down that path, I think I'll cut some of the cage out of it. Bits that don't really need to be there, or especially the windscreen bars, like cut them out of it. I'll probably put a center console back in it and just make it a bit more user-friendly. And in the ideal world, like I'm thinking up here now, it would be awesome to have a little flatbed truck I could throw it on and take it places to drive. So moving forward, that would be the goal, like build a car that potentially could do 1 or 2 races, but build a car that I could put on a trailer or a little flatbed truck and I could tow to all these awesome spots and yeah, drive all the hard stuff without worrying about smashing this car up, because at the end of the day, GQs are only getting more and more valuable, and this car's nice and clean now, and to be honest, I just don't want to smash it up. So you all just have to wait and see what happens with that car. At the moment, it's still going. It's sort of patched together. The diffs are bent, that's probably the major concern, but the rest of it's still all right. So I'll probably just run it into the ground, you know, just drive it until the wheels fall off or whatever, and then work out my plan from there. But regardless of plans with the race car, there's like a whole heap of other things above it that I really need to achieve before I even touch that car. So yeah, there's still a lot going on. Whether I even get to it this year is questionable, but you just have to wait and see. So for now, my main focus is going to be this car. So believe it or not, it still isn't engineered. I've been super slack, and like I said earlier, the racing really took up every bit of spare time that I had. So like from Queen's birthday, which is June last year, I don't think I drove this car until like, I don't know, I can't remember, September, October, or, you know, maybe 1 drive, and then New Year's. So I literally like didn't touch it. I hardly even had time to work on it. So this car is getting the focus now. I've just come back from a New Year's trip and I've got a list of things that I need to fix and change. We are heading away somewhere at Easter time. May require a boat, I'm not sure. But we are heading away, so end of March, so I need the car ready for that. So I'm not gonna go over the top with like anything crazy, but I do need to change a few things and get this car ready for that trip. We also have another I think there's 2 long weekends between now and Easter, so I'd like to do a few more drives, like whether I do a bunyip drive or whatever. I know I said this last year, but I never got down there. But yeah, I'm really gonna make the effort to try to go a bit further, because we always tend to do the same tracks. Even though they're super fun, I'd like to check out a few other spots. So I'll just brush over a few things that's coming up for this car. I am changing the manifold, wastegate, turbo and dump pipe. So all the current stuff I'm just gonna sell off as like some sort of bolt-on kit or whatever. And then I'm gonna replace the manifold, new wastegate, new turbo, and get a new dump pipe made. There's no like massive reason why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it because I wanna do it. So stay tuned for that. I think at the same time, I might actually swap out the head bolts in it. So I might just pull out one at a time and swap them out with better head bolts, because I might run a little bit more boost in it for the high boost, like the water meth tune. I might push it up another couple pounds, but I'll talk to Stuffy at Independent and see what he thinks, and we'll work out a plan and go from there. So that's actually happening pretty soon. I still need to do the front main seal, which is like a job that I've been meaning to do for like 8 months. So that's got to get done. There's a couple of little jobs I've got to change out the clutch line, put a braided one in there. One of my compressors in the back is playing up, got to fix that. I'm going to change the rear springs. I've got to finish my jerry can holder, like it's been sitting at mum and dad's for nearly 2 years, like 2/3 done, so I've got to finish that. I'm going to chuck in a oil pressure sensor, because I'm pretty sure, I have to double check with my laptop, but I'm pretty sure I've got one spare analog voltage input in the ECU, which I'll run an oil pressure sensor into. So we're also doing something cool with the back of this. So I'm gonna actually go from an LSD, I'm gonna put a locker in it, and then I'm gonna put a fully floating axle kit in the back as well. So that's down the track a little bit, but that will happen. Maybe before the Easter trip, I'm not sure, but I'll just see how everything else is going before I make the decision to do that. But I'm looking forward to having a rear locker in the back, and then having a full floating axle in the back, 300M axle, so heaps stronger. Not that I'm not twisting axles in this car like I am in the race car, but it certainly is nice knowing that you just have super strong axle in the back, and I've got chromos in the front, so that would be good. And then there's just like, I've got a list sitting right here, there's like 30 things on the list, there's just a heap of little stuff, but that's what's mainly coming up in the next couple months. So that brings us to this weapon here. Currently, I actually just love driving this, like it's just bog stock. Absolutely love driving it. I've got a few little things to sort out. Only one electric window works and the aircon doesn't work. The driver's door hinge is a bit cracked out, and there's a few other little niggly jobs that need doing. But for the most part, I just love cruising around in a stock car. It's funny, you hop in this and then you wonder why we even touch them, because I don't know, Nissan just had it sorted from the factory. It is quite enjoyable to drive. I don't want to let out too much information about what my plans are with this car, because I mean, as it sits, it just goes. I can just hop in it, turn the key, and it goes. So I'm not in a mad rush to do anything really with this car, but if the opportunity arises, I've got time and I've got some spare money, I'd like to do some stuff to this, but it's not going to be a full drive build. So I think like the paint's pretty bad, but other than the paint, like I said when I got this car, it's just untouched. It hasn't been hacked up, the wiring hasn't been hacked up, it hasn't had any P-plater mods. So I'd like to just keep this somewhat original, or being able to convert back to original, potentially like a respray, clean up the interior a bit more. I was actually considering doing a, how do we put this, like a permanent 2-wheel drive conversion in it, but I won't say too much about that. And I also don't want to say too much, but there is something that's going to happen under the bonnet. So yeah, there's a few big plans for this, but it's not going to be a full drive, and I'm not in a rush to do it, because I just enjoy turning the key in this thing and going. I do have to make a mountain bike rack for the back, because if I go mountain biking anywhere, this is the car I'll be taking. So I've got to make the mountain bike rack probably a 4 bike rack or something. So me and everyone else, you know, we can take this mountain biking and then we will be cruising in style. And that leaves this thing. So I already made somewhat of a planned video for this. It was over 12 months ago now. And I talked about this in the video at the start of last year. But hopefully I can make a start on this year. I've got to go and chase the motor up. That's when the budget allows, I'll go and get the motor and pick it up. But again, this is not high up on the priority list at the moment. The white car is, and then once that's done, I'm gonna work through my priority list and see where this lands. So pretty much I just want to get the motor back here so then I can start piecing things together and then move forward on that. But to sum it up quickly, I'm doing a built RB25, like stock turbo motor, 6-speed manual over 350Z. I've got an ARB air locker to go in the rear. I'm gonna put like a bolt-in half cage in it and, you know, coilovers, and then, you know, there's a list of things, knuckles, and, you know, there's a list of things that are gonna get done. But again, I'd like to try and accumulate all these bits before I go ahead and tackle this job, because much like the other car, I just don't want it dragging on for, I don't want it sitting in here for ages, you know, in a million bits. I'd like to have a lot of stuff there where I can just pull one bit off, put another bit on, but that's the plan anyway. So hopefully this thing gets done. Like, I haven't even driven this for ages. I actually think Emily was the last person to drive it. I haven't driven this in a long time, mainly because it's not that fun to drive, auto, non-turbo. There's no real excitement factor to it, so I don't really drive it that often, but I probably should get out in it a bit more. And then the other non-car job that's on the list is this shed. I'm actually having heaps of fun, you know, moving things around and putting things up. It's essentially like building a car. It's just a shed. The same principles apply and it's the same concept. So it is quite enjoyable, but I might make a few videos on like what I do in here, maybe, I don't know. I've got to finish this wall sheeting off. The reason I haven't finished is because I can't get any. So I've got to finish the wall sheeting off, which will go over to the roller door and then back to this roller door. I've got a few bits cut out, ready for a mez floor. So the mez floor is going to be half the width of the shed and then one full bay. So it's going to be a pretty decent sized mez. So I might film that, I'm not sure. I'll see how I go. And then I've got to chase up a hoist to go here. So then at least, yeah, I can do a lot of my own work here. That's my plan, 2 poster hoist. Yeah, I want to just try and work out of this shed as much as I can. And then there's also a few jobs happening on the outside of the shed, which is pretty much irrelevant. So whether it's at my actual job this year or this YouTube channel, I've got to be working my ass off because I've got to somehow pay for all this. So it will be a very busy year again, but should be filled with plenty of good stuff. So with all that being said, I'll give a realistic summary as to what I'm aiming for. So this car, it'll be the few mods I mentioned earlier before our trip at Easter time, which is March, April. Then directly after that, I'm gonna be working as hard as I can to get this car engineered and get all that signed off and done, because that's another job and it's another big expense that's, you know, always sitting there. I just want to like tick it off. In the meantime, I'll be doing a few mountain bike rides. Well, I'll be mountain biking a lot, but I might put 1 or 2 trips up on YouTube. Depends, like if we go somewhere cool, like we went to Bright last year, and I think we're going to go back again soon, and then we're going to go to Marysville and a few other spots. So, you know, cool spots like that, I might make videos and put them up. And then amongst, you know, working on this and getting ready for the trip and then engineering, I actually plan on using this car. I say this every year, but I'm really gonna try and knuckle down this year and use this car because it is fun to drive. So I want to just get out and use it for what I built it for, do some fun tracks, do some camping and check out some spots. I've got plenty in mind, so it's just a matter of you know, taking the first step and making them happen. Then after all that, so after this car's engineered, ticked off, you know, that's priority number 1, then I can somewhat make a start on either of these 2 cars. It won't be both because, being realistic, I just don't have the time or money to be doing both of them cars at the same time. But the idea will be is to have one of these going on in the background, and then, you know, using this car, and the race car should still be going at that stage. So, you know, there should be a mixture of content, a bit of race car stuff, not racing, like just hard tracks. There's some more further out tracks in this car. So if I'm being realistic, I don't think I will start anything with the race car this year. Like I said, I'll just run it into the ground and just see how long I can keep going for. But I highly doubt I'll be doing anything build-wise with that this year, but you never know. You know, plans change. I didn't plan on having this car, or a couple other things that I didn't plan on, but they happen anyway. And I am actually very motivated to do it. It's just more a time and money thing, so who knows. So that sums up the plans for 2023. I look forward to another big year. So thanks for all the returning viewers, and I look forward to seeing a heap of new viewers. So there's already a couple videos that I've filmed. So there's a New Year's video, and then we done a race car drive the end of last year. Both of them drives were bloody awesome. So the race car drive was heaps of fun, and then the New Year's trip in this car was heaps of fun. We only really done one day drive, but it was absolutely awesome. We've done some pretty cool stuff in these cars, so keep an eye out for them coming up. I really need to try bump up the views and new subscribers and whatever, so I'll try put a bit more effort into editing and filming and my thumbnails and that sort of thing. But also don't forget to share it all with your mates and like and comment, because all that helps. Surprisingly, it helps a lot. So that would be appreciated if you could do that. But other than that, I hope you all had a good Chrissy and New Year's, and we've got some big plans this year, so stay tuned for them all, and we'll see you on the next one. Oh, I nearly had that too.